about mineral spots and water holes, and then we dive into the big subject of the day: what will make bucks bigger, APRs or 1 buck rules? All of this in this episode of Beyond the Backyard. Michigan Outdoor Obsessions Beyond the Backyard is brought to you by Ultimate Archery and Outdoors, Ultimate Deer Products, Red Light Food Plot Seed Company, Edge Attracts Incorporated, Jay's Sporting Goods, and Tacticam. Episode 3 of Beyond the Backyard. We're here with Tony. I'm Steve, and got another great episode planned for you guys. As always, we're brought to you by Ultimate Archery and Outdoors, Ultimate Deer Products, Red Light Food Plot Seed Company, Edge Attracts Incorporated, and Jay's Sporting Goods. Another week trying to get by. A little bit. Last week was a 4-day week, so this week is 5-day week. It's dragging on a little farther than I'd like it to go.
Yep, exactly. Almost to the weekend though, just shy, but.
So finally got my food plot seed down. That my clover down there. Hoping we're not lacking for water. That's for sure.
No, plenty of moisture right now. So
I'm gonna throw some fertilizer down on her next, and hopefully she grows. We'll see here.
Yep, the temperatures right now look pretty good, so things are gonna start greening up here pretty fast. So absolutely.
Now, I had a guy ask me today about the clover.
Yep.
Your what's the name of your clover again? I always forget.
It's first dew.
Okay, so first dew. You're throwing down first dew clover. Is there an ideal soil temperature for that or not?
I mean, every plant germinates at different temperatures. Usually it's 65 degrees is like the optimal ground temperature where everything perks up and everything.
Okay.
So somewhere in there, some plants germinate at a lower temperature. A lot of warm season grasses germinate in that 65 to higher. So
Okay.
yep.
I wanted to throw something out there too before we start this episode. I want to let all the followers know that watch this. If you like this video, you comment moo in the comments and you subscribe to our channel. I'm going to give away a free moo decal and a hat off this episode. So make sure you go do all those 3 things and you'll be automatically entered in for some free merch. So just want to throw that out there. Appreciate everyone's support so far. I think we've gotten a lot of good feedback, and I think we're off to a great start going into episode 3. So, but first, last episode, we talked about the new baiting proposal that's coming in, the $20 baiting tag that you possibly can buy. And speaking of baiting, more of an attractant, but we also talked about there's different types of baiting, right? There's baiting to shoot over, and then there's stuff to benefit the herd of the deer, benefit the herd as a whole, their health. And one of those is mineral sites. And back in the day, we all did mineral sites, not only for antler growth, but just for overall health of the herd. What are some things as far as minerals that you think if they brought them back, what do the deer really need that we don't have naturally in our soils here in Michigan?
I mean, mineral sites, I mean, there is benefits to them. It's not a large benefit, but it's all those micronutrients that they need. You know, that phosphorus and calcium and all that helps with antler growth. So, it's not a magic thing. Most of the time, it's deer come to salt licks or mineral sites, I should say, but they come to those because there's so much moisture that they need that salt to kind of help dehydrate their bodies more or less to get rid of the water waste from all the plants that they're eating in the springtime and summertime. That's why they hit those really hard then. And then from there, you know, as fall goes, all the green foliage goes away and everything. And that's why they use mineral sites lesser and lesser as it comes to those times. So,
Yeah.
So it's a micronutrient thing. It's great for getting pictures. I mean, it's awesome to see your bucks and your does and your fawns coming through and stopping by every day. So,
I know, no, just like a woman that is pregnant with a child, they've said basically the same thing was a doe with a buck inside of her. They've done research where you take 2 does, they both have buck fawns inside of them, and the one whose mom got the minerals and the nutrients when he was inside her tends to grow up to be a bigger, healthier buck. just
Yeah.
because he got all that stuff that he needed in the womb.
Yeah. I mean, that's the prenatal stuff like a
Yep.
woman has when they have their children. I mean, every best nutrient thing you can give a deer while they're in the um mom doe there, I mean, will only make that deer that much healthier,
Mhm.
grow to its potentials. I mean, it'll do great benefits for them. Help with diseases. I mean, that's one of our main problems right now is all those diseases out there. So,
Mhm.
if you can give them all the minerals and supplements and all that, I mean, you're only making it better. So to say that it's a bad thing is, I don't know. I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's beneficial. So,
I think also, like you talk about that kind of stuff, you got water holes, you got mineral sites,
you know,
you got it's just more stuff to keep them on your property.
right.
If you're dealing with small acreage, your
Yeah.
neighbor is right next door. You say you have 10 acres and they're right next door, 20 acres, whatever you may have. Anything basically under 500, 400, you're dealing with a pretty small acreage actually when it compares to like Kansas, Iowa, and those kind of states that have
Right.
thousands of
Yeah.
acres. You need as much stuff as possible to make them stay on your property, whether it's licking branches, whether it's mock scrapes, and I feel like the more you can get them to stop while they're on your property, the better off you're gonna probably have a chance of getting a shot at one.
Yeah. And that comes down to the management level and how much somebody's willing to put the effort into creating all those things. I mean, I want to go to the place that has the water, that has my food, that has cover, that has all the mock scrapes so I can communicate with all the does and all that. I mean, that's the place I want to be.
Yep.
So instead of spending all my time running around trying to find water over here on 20 acres, it's hard to pack a lot of that stuff on 10 acres. I understand that, but the main things, if you can have food and water, I mean that goes a long ways. So um, you know, easier mowed down trails. You're going to take the path of least resistance. If you can take your mower and make a pass around there, you know, they're going to take those more times than not.
And
So,
sometimes it's not. I've found you have people that try to make trails for them, um,
mhm.
and you're not gonna sometimes don't go in there thinking you're
Uh,
gonna change hundreds of years of movement.
no, no, no,
Uh,
no, no. But
I've have found more luck just finding the trails they already have, and I've
and
mowed some of the trails they already use
yeah,
because you're just making it easier for them to move. But to go in there and think that you're gonna completely change how they move,
right.
I've seen people that have had mowed trails and they just jumped the trail and stayed on the normal trail.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yep. So I mean, it's taking a second to understand your property too. So I mean, like just like you said, you've had it one way. Yeah, the property we hunt, we went out there and we created trails because all the trails they were all over the place. There was no rhyme or reason to their trails. And once we created main trails for them, they use those all the time. So, like I said, it all differs from everybody, property to property too. So, and then for you, yeah, you just utilize their old trails, widen them up, mowed them down a little bit, and they're going to take those all the time. So you'll know exactly where they're
Yeah.
coming from.
The next thing I want to get into um, is a pretty hot topic. Uh, you've heard all different debates upon this for the last who knows how many years, and that is the old topic of what is the people that want bigger bucks um, in the state of Michigan, if that's their preference, is what do you think is it APRs or is it $1 rule? What do you? That's the standard argument here all the time. People say, "Oh,
Okay.
we need APRs." No, we need $1 rules. Or we need earn a buck. Tell us more about the whole thing behind APRs as a whole. I mean, what
Okay.
they're trying to accomplish with APRs.
So my understanding through everything that I've read, research done, all the courses and whatnot, APRs are essentially you're just trying to get a certain class of bucks. So to the next age class. That's what an APR is. So in Michigan, they're trying to get the year old to year and a half old bucks to the next stage, which is 2.5, 2 or 2.5. That's what an APR is. That's all they're trying to do. Now, when it comes to quality deer management or deer management itself or any of that, that is one person's idea on how they believe that things should be managed, how the deer should be managed, what deer should be shot, bucks get a pass, which don't. You know, on our property, it's if you see a 2.5-year-old buck, 3-year-old buck, it's gonna get shot. I mean, that's the way it is. I mean, it's tough hunting. Yet, maybe up by you guys, a basket rack 8 year-and-a-half-year-old, if that's the biggest buck on the property, I mean, that's just what happens. So, and I guess that's the whole point is everybody gets so worked up about these point things and we have to have an 8-point rule and all this. It works great for somebody down south or in Kansas or, I'm trying to keep it in Michigan, but different parts of Michigan, they will grow bigger bucks. They just do. They have all the nutrients. They have cornfields, soybean fields, best nutrition, you know, and they can get to that potential. And it's harder as you go up north. So to say to have APR statewide, there's some there's some good things about it and there's some bad things about it. So that's where I get where people kind of confuse the quality deer management versus the APRs and that kind of stuff. And then when it comes to the earn a buck, I mean, if that works, that's great.
The
So,
thing
but
about APR, here's my argument with APRs is
yep, go for it.
I feel like you get one buck, it is you're gonna be pretty picky on what you shoot, right? I mean, are you gonna shoot I mean, a lot of times I feel like when you're given 2 bucks,
Y-
you're like, you shoot the one, oh, wait, well, the next one, I'm gonna make sure he's bigger. I'm gonna
Oh,
make
yeah,
sure
yeah,
he.
yeah. Yep,
So it gives you a little bit of leeway, like to
yeah,
maybe shoot a buck that you probably won't have shot, but if you get 2 tags, so you're like, whatever, I'll shoot the next one will be bigger. I'll
yeah,
be more picky on the second one. Now
yeah,
you get 1 buck rule. Now you're picky because once you shoot that 1 buck, you're done. Uh,
yeah.
APRs, they do work. I'm not gonna say they don't work 100% because I know
No, they
up here in Charlotte
you
County,
were
there is some nice bucks up here that you wouldn't people be
yeah.
shocked. The bigger bucks. Obviously, we don't have the Berry County, the down there in Washtenaw
Oh,
County
yeah, 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 yeah.
monsters, right? But for Northern
But the
Michigan, there was like a 170-inch buck shot in Charlotte County, probably I don't know 6, 7, 8 years ago. So it does happen.
yeah.
But my thing with with the APRs is I can shoot a year-and-a-half-old 3 on one side. I can shoot a 4.5-year-old the next buck, or I can shoot a year-and-a-half-old 4 with one on one side the next buck.
Mhm.
You technically still shoot 2 year-and-a-half-old bucks and still fall within the APR restrictions, right?
Correct. Yep.
So, I mean, I know that how many if I'd like to see the statistics, how many people tag out every year in the state.
Mhm.
I can't. I'm not gonna sit here and say that I know the facts because I don't want to know it when it comes to that. I can't. I don't think it's as high as probably I maybe think it is.
Right.
I mean, what do you think? I mean, do you think that many people truly tag out as far as shooting both tags, both bucks?
I mean, I a lot of guys shoot 2 bucks. I mean, that's what the tags are set for.
Yeah,
And it's nice to shoot bucks and I get all that. So,
I get
I
that
mean,
too.
so and I like I said last year, I didn't shoot a buck last year. I mean, I got to the point where hunting bucks got too much involved with I have to shoot the biggest buck because it's cool. And I let a lot of bucks pass. And I should have just said, I want to pick the best buck, and this is the buck I want to hunt, and just go for him. Like,
Yeah,
or have a nice 2.5-year-old 8 come by, and that's the one I want. But I got it. People get so caught up in I have to shoot these 3.5-year-olds or 4.5-year-olds. I'm going to tell you right now, and this I'll get people fired up. The amount of those deer exist in Michigan are few and far between. There are
No, how
10%
old now?
of all
How
that.
old? How old?
The 3.5-year-old, 4-year-old bucks that, come through.
Yeah.
I
No, quite
They're
question.
few.
I would
Yeah,
typically, I would typically say you say the 3.5 to 4 are far few behind, but I would almost say
10% I would say of most of the pop. I'm speculating here, but
I
let's
I
say
would say
10% of it.
most of the big bucks I see, I would say are 3.5 year olds. Like I
Okay.
feel like every year I probably get like I had a couple, actually some pretty decent ones on camera this year. But I would
Right.
typically say
Okay.
for me, a typical 3.5 year old buck is 16 inches, 17 inches wide, 8 point is what I see typically. And then I would take
Okay.
a 2 year old buck would be probably 14 inches wide, 12 to 14.
Okay.
And so I mean I think I see a decent amount of 3.5 year olds around.
Right.
You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
But your 3 point or your 3.5-year-olds versus downstate three and a
Yeah.
half year olds
Yeah.
are totally different.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's where I'm getting the whole where you get the 10%. Like I would say 4.5-year-old, 5-year-old bucks they're such on the lower scale just because Michigan gets hunted so hard that it's tough for bucks to get there. And I see that's why they do the APRs and all that. But to start being more selective or telling people you can only shoot one buck any size. This is what I kind of think how it should be, but they should still have the combo tag, but it should be one doe tag, one buck tag. The buck can be any size, and then you're allowed a third tag, and it can be a doe or a buck, but the buck then too has to be, that earn a buck thing. The
Yeah.
next buck has to be to that APR size. So that 4 point or whatnot. So, or you buy another doe tag. So, but your combo license right away, you have to shoot a doe, you have to shoot a buck. Doesn't matter the size, but at least you get people across the board. It's equal for everybody. So if you want the guy that wants to shoot, like Uncle Ted said, if you want to shoot that spike, drop him. That's great. But if you got the guy over here that's like, well, I'm going to wait for this 3.5-year-old 8 point to come out, shoot him. That's great. Like you, you give people give people I'm trying to think of the words here, a more open way of hunting bucks. Yet you're still managing by taking that one doe too. So
And
to
I
earn
do
your
believe
next tag.
I do believe a one buck would. I don't know. I think it would. The people that say I want to shoot whatever I want to shoot, don't tell me
Hmm.
what to shoot. I don't. I shoot. I don't shoot for. Um, I don't. I can't eat the rack.
Yeah.
And I get that. Like, here's the thing, man. Like, and maybe in my younger years, I was more hating on people for what they shot. And honestly, personally, I don't. As long as you're happy, I don't care what you shoot. I'll be honest with you.
Right.
If it revs you up, gets you
Yeah.
fired up to shoot it, man, more power to you, man. If you're happy with what you're doing,
Yep.
take that buck. Taking it, throwing it into a bucket in your garage. It's like, I don't know. It goes back to our whole doe
Yeah.
thing we talked
Yeah.
about last episode too. So,
Yeah. So
um,
I APRs have their good and have their bad, I guess. And I think the good for it is going to be hard to carry on if they want these bigger class bucks because it's hard because they want to get them to the next age class and it's going to take a lot to get
yeah.
to there. So and it
Someone was telling me
Mich
today that did you know? Which obviously I wasn't old enough to know this was going on. Did you know in the '80s you could shoot $4?
no, I didn't know that. So
Someone was
that's
telling me
crazy.
today that supposedly in the '80s you could shoot two during bow season and two during gun season.
Well, there must have been a lot more bucks back then. So
I'm like, that
yeah.
would that would demolish
Oh,
stuff, man.
yeah, you would, yeah. So, but I mean, like right now, I mean, they want you to shoot does, and I understand the science behind the shooting the does thing. That's why you can walk in and buy 10 doe tags because they want you to shoot does, and to say, hey, if we have these the combo tag, and then you say, hey, you have to shoot a doe, you have to shoot a buck, and then you get your next tag for either another buck or another doe. I mean, I I don't know. I think that in my mind that works. Maybe for some others, they'll say that's a stupid idea, and whatever, that's fine. So, um, you know, so
Now, what
goes
are you
life, I guess.
now? We talked about those, as you go towards, obviously, as you move down the state,
Yep.
truly, as the closer you get to Indiana, Ohio, the bigger the bucks get. I mean, from
Yeah.
what you can, I mean,
It's yeah.
look on Michigan out of doors TV, their big buck nights. It's like all their bucks come right around that borderline of Indiana and
Yeah.
Ohio. Why do you think that is though? Because I mean, what is causing? Because they're still
It's
in
nu
Michigan, they're still playing
it's
by the same
nutrient.
rules.
It's nutrients. So put it like this: if you were a bodybuilder and you had all the greatest stuff to eat and all the best vitamins and supplements and protein shakes and
Yeah,
gross stuff, would you be bigger than me that goes to the gym to work out and I just drink water and I just kind of lift and everything? Absolutely, you would be far more ahead than I ever was. So, put it in deer terms, down here we have cornfields galore, soybean fields, dirt, the soil, and all the nutrients in that soil that get brought up with the plants is far better than, you know, sandy Michigan. I mean, as far
yeah.
more you go up north, what do you have? You have pines and oaks, and I mean, the soil's very acidic, and the nutrient level's not as good. So that's
I have a
that's
comment here that I want to address
go
in
for it.
here. So Chris Lass says in the early '90s you could buy 4 tags. They could only shoot two, but they had no way of knowing because
So yeah, good job. This is
I mean the
another win
state of
for
Michigan, man.
yeah, way to win another one there. So yeah, that makes sense. It does. It makes sense, right?
So so
Who,
so the state of Michigan, as far as managing their deer herd, has always been a shit show since day one.
yeah. So I mean, that's why are we sitting here talking about the state too and all their awesome ideas? But yeah, man, you know, right now it's a mess, honestly. So deer hunting's a mess. So
Yeah.
and they're trying
Do
to
you think that they will actually ever? All these people, we all talk about this. Everyone's talking about this. Will they ever do anything um, about it? Will anything ever actually come out of this, or are they just going to keep playing their game and trying things? And you know what I'm saying? I mean, I feel like they have to hear this stuff, man. It's like
yeah,
it's not like we're just talking to the wind or all these other people. I mean, people know what's going on, and I feel like, but again, it comes back to what we talked about. Look who's running it.
yeah.
A bunch of
I
non-hunting politicians.
it Some are biologists and all that
Yeah, I understand
but
that too. There
but
are some
yeah,
scientists involved, but
but it it's hard because there needs to be new ideas. There has to be a shift in those ideas. So we need new people with new ideas to step in there. Honestly, it's old dinosaurs that are still running this DNR system. I mean, you'll never progress if you're going to keep running off the same old system. So,
yeah.
like you said, why look at other states and see what they're doing? But Michigan keeps wanting to go back. Yeah, we're getting off topic here, but Michigan just wants to go and be the new innovative idea on things. It's like try what they're doing, see if it works, and then add your little twist on it. So,
Like,
but
and I now correct me if I'm wrong, but I just honestly don't think I don't care what Michigan does. I don't
mhm,
think they'll ever be an Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, Kentucky, Iowa.
right,
They will never be those as much as everybody wants that to happen, or the people that people that care about
yeah, yeah,
shooting 150s, 160 bucks. Michigan will never be that state that has a consistent supply of 150-inch bucks ever.
mm,
And I think a lot of it comes down to parcel sizes. Look at property sizes.
yep,
Go to Kansas and Iowa and these states and look how big these property sizes are. They're not
yeah,
5 acres, 10 acres. They're 100,000, 5,000. I mean, they're huge farms.
right,
Um,
yep,
it's easy when you have Joe Schmo that owns 5 acres here, 10 acres, 20. I mean, it's hard to manage a herd, and for someone to manage, well, I don't want to shoot small bucks. Well, cool. But the guy that's right next door, this deer leaves my 5 acres, that deer's
Yeah.
dead.
Yeah.
So until you
It's
change that whole thinking process, it's never going to stop. And you're never going to, for me, I don't think you're ever going to get everybody in this state on board
no.
to do that.
Yeah. And that's just it. You just kind of nailed it. So Michigan has more hunters per square mile per capita is how they put it. Pennsylvania's, I believe, the highest, if I'm not mistaken. And Michigan's like second or third. But if, like you said, through Kansas, they have huge parcels of land. I mean, their properties are gigantic. And there's only maybe one, two, three guys hunting it on 100 acres. But yet, like you said, you know, I own 5 acres. Neighbor owns 5 acres. I might have my brother come over and hunt with me. Now we have three
Yeah.
guys hunting 10
Yeah.
acres.
Yeah.
Yeah, deer are gonna get massacred. I mean, that's the way it is. That's the point. So is there's
Yeah.
just so much
You get a
in that.
decent,
So
and that's the thing. I mean, these. I feel like if you're a monster buck in Michigan, you're
mhm.
you're you're moving. How far are you moving, man? I feel like those bucks are maybe moving 100 yards.
Oh,
They're
but
eating and going laying back down again because
it's funny.
there's no way they're gonna make it through the deer season on those smaller parcels without getting taken out.
Right. We were just talking about this at work. There was a buck that everybody's been watching supposedly out near where I work or whatever, and there's 3 or 4 guys that hunt. They have the same buck on 4 or 5 different cameras all the way around these properties within you know, I don't know how much land they got, but within like miles of each other. It's the same buck.
Hey,
So it's like, yeah.
so Chris Lash
What's
just
up?
said opening a firearm season, we have probably 25 or 30 people in our square
The
mile.
square mile. Yeah. Versus what? To cut that in half right there. And then that's Kansas or Ohio or
And on
all
top of that, you
those.
get downstate, up here in northern Michigan, there's so much woods they can find somewhere to hide.
Right.
I remember when
I
I
mean,
grew up
but
growing up downstate, you literally just see them running from woods to woods across the field. Just
but then you would see the pumpkin patch too as you watched all the deer run through. So I mean that's yeah. So I don't know. There's a lot of work that needs to be done. So and it's not gonna be anything overnight either, but
no.
but they need to come up with a better solution and that I'm not saying the idea I have would work. I mean, maybe somebody has another great idea to manage the does with getting the bucks to the next age class. Maybe you do some wild thing where you have to shoot 2 does first, and then you get your buck tag, and then so on and so forth. But I mean,
And see, the doe thing is
I don't know.
the doe is a tricky subject too, though, because here's the thing: is that the doe population isn't strong in every area of the state of Michigan. You get people that say,
Yep.
"Man, I'm not seeing anything." I talked to somebody today from Alcona County, and they said
Okay.
they saw 8 deer all last season.
Right.
So
That.
if you set a restriction out there and say, "Hey, you have to shoot 2 does," what if a guy only sees 8 deer total all season? So
Yeah. I- That
it's tough.
I was throwing that idea out there, but like you said, it comes down to where you live, and like I said, dude, at any given point of time down here, there'll be 15 does in our food plots. It's nuts. But up by you, like you said, you might see what 5, 6 come through, right?
Yeah, true.
Oh, there you are. But just saying, it's all over the place. They got a lot of work to do with that APR thing. So I don't think it's a bad thing. I just
Nope.
don't think it's the logical thing. I say keep the APRs, but we got to do some more balancing of
Yeah.
everything with habitats and or not habitats, but just the overall herd health. So, but I don't know.
I think
So
that's gonna
I mean,
wrap up this episode, Tony.
yeah, we've been talking for quite a while.
Hey, that's all right, man. I
That's
appreciate
it.
that you subscribe to our channel. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss when we have our brand new podcast. We'll make sure to put them up very regularly. This is our third one. We'll probably put our fourth one up soon. But just make sure that you hit the notification bell. We're giving away a free Michigan Outdoor Obsession hat and decal. All you got to do is comment moo in the comments, like this video, and subscribe to our channel, and we will pick a winner. So for Tony and myself, thank you for tuning in, and we'll talk to you soon.